Okay, guys, so it is I always have to look in the upper right-hand corner of my computer, the 26th of January. When you're a full-time Beachbody coach, you don't need to know what day of the week it is, what day on the calendar it is. So I never do know, but I'm excited for tonight's call for a few reasons. One being that we have an incredible guest speaker that I'm going to get to in a second, and two, because I have someone I want to recognize, and I want to hear from any of you guys if you have coaches that you want to shout out tonight for any accomplishments. But Jessica Lanier has officially achieved 2-star, which for those of you who don't know, first of all, she did it in like warp speed. She's been a coach less than a year, and she has this vision for her family, and she's just like paving that path step by step, working so hard to do it. And to give you an idea of how Jessica operates, she texted me today, I'm hosting a team call tomorrow morning at 4:50 a.m. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, my coaches work really early, and she gets up at like 4 in the morning because she goes off to work like 6. She has like 5 people from her team getting up with her at 4:50 to like talk business. And that's just the kind of dedication that she has, because her vision is so freaking huge that she's like, oh yeah, I'll sacrifice sleep. Like, she has a baby that wakes up every couple hours, yet she's willing to do stuff like that because she gets that long-term vision for this. So anyway, I'm super proud of her. She's officially a 2-star, which is the ultimate launching pad for building income and long-term growth and longevity as a coach. And I wanted to open it up. Does anyone have anyone they want to shout out tonight? It can be for Rank, Success Club, just kicking butt in general. Just unmute. You might be muted. Or you can shout it out in the, Dudley is a lifetime diamond today. Congrats.
I would love to shout out Shani Cody. She has officially signed up for her first coach and is halfway to Emerald.
Awesome. Halfway there. That's great. Congrats.
I'll give my team a shout out, Aspire Nation, for holding down the fort. And really, new coaches are just excelling, and a lot of them are on here. So kudos to Aspire Nation. You guys the energy is awesome right now. Right?
Yeah. Awesome. And I have to shout out Annalisa for being an official mom boss, as she shouts out her team, hops on a team call, and nurses her child. That's the ultimate. You're rocking this whole mom thing. Any other shout outs tonight? Oh wait. Why can't I see? You hit Ruby, 2 away from Diamond. Kimberly, that's awesome. Congrats. Awesome, guys. Well, we're all fighting for big goals this year. Let's close out this month strong. I just had a call with some of my new coaches. So for some of them, this is their first time on a call. So any new coaches, welcome. And I want to remind you guys, and I was saying to them, there are two kinds of people who look at the calendar and see January 26th and say, oh, it's too bad. I missed it this month. I'm not going to hit Success Club. And then the people who look at that and say, I have all the time in the world to lock this thing in. And that's going to be the differentiator. That kind of mindset is the differentiator between the people who are going to take this business to the top, where it's life-changing and they thrive and they earn that income. Yep, Megan just said locked in Success Club on New Year's Eve at 11 p.m. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So, guys, let go of that limiting mindset or limiting self-beliefs and just go for it. You can absolutely make it happen. As soon as you get off this call, go send 10 invites. Go invite people to your challenge group. Go follow up with those people who you haven't heard back from. Reach out to your customers and get your coaches excited. So I'm super excited to welcome onto tonight's call someone who is very near and dear to my heart. She's actually one of the first Beachbody leaders that I became really close with really quickly, and she just totally like took me under her wing. So I was this brand new baby 2-star diamond. I had just made the qualification, jumped from diamond, where I like was totally, my husband's, got myself to diamond through like my husband's account and friend's account or whatever, and then got myself to 2-star in order to qualify for my first leadership retreat. Back then you only had to be a 2-star instead of a 5. And I was scared out of my mind going to this retreat because I knew no one. I knew I was like bottom rung as far as rank and time in the business. And I was traveling by myself because Michael was working full time and he couldn't get enough time off to fly in early with me. So he had to wait until the weekend to fly to California. And I get to the airport. Well, I noticed Seay and Neil, her husband, sitting right across the plane from me. And I knew who she was, but she was way out of my league. And so anyway, we get off the plane and Shay's talking to like Melanie Mitro and some other, amazing coaches in the network. And I'm like cowering in the corner by myself, and I go into the bathroom and I meet Seay in the bathroom. And from that moment on, I was going to take like a $60 cab ride to just not bother anyone by myself to this hotel. And she's like, "Oh no, you're coming with us."
So you're coming with us.
Yeah. I go with Seay and her husband and Melanie and Matt, and instantly was like, oh my God, these are my people. Like, she and her husband are so awesome. And on top of being just like salt of the earth people, Seay has killed it in her business. She's a superstar diamond, part of the Million Club. She's been elite 4 times, which means, that consistency in her team growth, like that's leadership. That means that it's not just about her making it happen. She's inspiring and leading her coaches to make it happen. She's wife to a crazy Brit named Neil, and she has 3 beautiful children. She's presented at Summit 3 times. She's presented on the National Wake Up Call 3 times. She's just kind of one of the, in my mind and many other coaches' minds, a go-to solid person in the network that is well respected, and she's a business-minded, like just smart about how she works her business. She like kills it in everything from knowing everything about Shakeology and the nutritional side of things. But then on the other side, she's running a business. She understands network marketing and she understands leadership. And I am excited, so excited to have her on the call tonight because she's not only going to be sharing with us some of her passion and what she's doing to see that success and what she's done, but she's also directly answering a lot of the questions that you guys asked in the team page. So I'm going to stop blabbing and hand it over to Seay. Seay, do your thing, and I'm gonna mute myself because I have an ice chewing addiction as a person. So I don't want anyone to have to do my crunching.
Well, thank you so much, Liz, for having me. I absolutely adore Liz and Mike. Like, they're some of some of our favorite people in Beachbody, and of course I know some of the people on your team, Liz, and it's awesome to see you guys. And you definitely have a beautiful team. Every time I'm looking around, like, you have like such a gorgeous team. Oh my goodness. I like, who is that that's like sleeping on the pillow? Is that they're in the middle for me, but I don't know where they are for you. It's hilarious. That's one of the greatest things about this business, I think, is you can literally like just tune in from anywhere and connect with people. So I've been with Beachbody since July of 2011. And truth be told, I have had a lot of coaches come and stay, a lot of coaches come and go. I've had coaches tell me they're going to be great and they don't do well, or coaches that say, I'm not going to do that great. I just want to be a discount coach. And then they end up being like a 5-star diamond, and everywhere in between. And I wanted to share kind of what I have felt has been the underlying thing among all coaches. And that is mindset. Because we all join this business, right? We have the same coach line office. We have the same tools. We have the same national wake-up call. And what's the difference between some of these coaches that take off and achieve 2-star in a year, and then others that sometimes have a slower start? And it's absolutely mindset. And so what I want to break down are some of the things that I have found have been the two biggest fears that I have seen hold people back in this business. And I will tell you that when it comes to mindset in this business, there's no heavier weight any of you are ever going to lift in any program than the weight you lift between your ears. And personal development is key. So in this call, I'm going to challenge you a little bit. I'm going to tell you how it is, but I'm going to empower you. I'm going to tough love you. And I'm going to share some of the biggest mistakes that I see coaches that have made from 5 years back onward. And the number one thing that I have seen that holds people back is fear. And it's usually fear of two things when you really break it down. It's fear of failure and it's fear of judgment. And I'm going to take those two fears and really kind of put them in a perspective that I hope empowers you to break through those fears and really become the badass you guys are destined to be. And I will say badass a lot. So if you have kids, I want to put headphones in because I can't help it. That's just how I am. So the whole thing with fear, right? It comes, if you really think about it and you break it down, it comes tied up, honestly, with expectations. And that's really the topic I want to talk to you guys about tonight, are the expectations that you have of yourself or that other people have put on you that you have chosen to believe that hold you back. So buying into these expectations will limit you. And I'm going to give you some examples to really break it down. But think about your typical expectations, right? So most of us, the general expectations are, you go to high school, you go to college, you get a 4-year degree, you rack up a bunch of student loans, right? You pay them off over however many years. You go get a safe 9-to-5 job. You get married, you have kids, and you work there for the next 30 years at that job or fighting for other jobs to kind of move your way up the ladder and earn extra income. That's kind of the typical expectation I think most people expect in society or your parents may have put on you. But living by those expectations is like living in this whole mental should list. Like I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And I think a lot of times we get into Beachbody and all these shoulds keep coming through our head and we start doubting ourselves and we start looking at other people and we start thinking, oh, I should be doing that and I shouldn't be doing this. And then our spouses are telling us what we should be doing. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you guys permission tonight to stop shoulding all over yourself. And I said shoulding. I want you to stop doing it. And I'm going to give you reasons why and tell you why it's holding you back. Because when you're shoulding all over yourself, it's keeping you truly, guys, from being the badasses you're destined to be and being the CEOs of this business. So basically, when you are shoulding on yourself, it means that you're doing and living and your actions and your thinking by what other people are expecting you to do. It's doing what they think is right, despite what your hopes are, what your dreams are, what your conscience is, and your gut's telling you to do. And sometimes shoulding could be deep rooted with some senses of guilt. Maybe I should be spending more time with my kids. Maybe I should be, my goal weight. Maybe I should have a transformation, but I don't, right? All of those are shoulds that we put on ourselves that hold us back and box us in and keep us paralyzed in this business. So I'm going to give you some coach examples of some shoulds that maybe may resonate with some of you guys that I have heard my own team give. So one of them is, my family thinks I should get a real job. I mean, this is just like some silly pyramid thing, right? Everybody thinks this is like such a joke that I'm doing, that I should get a real job or I should go back to school and get a degree. My husband thinks I should stay private about my weight, my business, my excitement, or I should be paying more attention to the kids instead of working. The way I'm doing things should work because at my last job, they worked. And that was one of the ones I fell into. I'm like, well, I did this in my pharmaceutical career and it was successful, but the pharmaceutical career is very transactional. This is very relationship. So I got stuck on that should that, hey, I know this works. And I kept doing something over and over again and it wasn't working until I changed the way I looked at how I should be doing things. So sometimes thinking it should work because it did somewhere else, or you have a trade somewhere else that should transcend into this, not necessarily. I should be more successful because I was at my old job. I should be farther along in this business than I am. And I think that's a really big one. A lot of us compare ourselves to others, and we should on ourselves, thinking I should be farther along than I am. And a good friend of mine, she's actually my daughter's volleyball coach, and she's a coach on my team. And she was teaching my daughter Reese. So she's learning these volleyball serves. And one of the things, like every time Reese would serve and it would hit the net, she would just get so discouraged. And then her next serve would just like, it was already defeated. And one of the things that my coach Becky was telling her, she's like, don't screw up your next serve based on one that has already happened. It's done. And so if you guys have had a few bad months or, a few bad weeks, don't screw up your future because that play's already been that play's done. The game is over. Just go forward and plug into the next game. Because you guys honestly are badasses and you don't want to be stuck replaying a bad play a month ago because you didn't hit Success Club or, you struggled with something. I should be successful because I joined under my successful coach. And that's really what I want to empower you guys, because it doesn't, and this works both ways. You guys aren't going to be successful just by joining a successful coach's team. Nor are people going to be successful just by joining your team. Success doesn't work by osmosis. And I would kind of be in a smart ass, but it really doesn't. Success works through consistency and patience and trial and error and failing and getting up over and over and over again. I should be the way my family and friends want me to be because it just keeps the peace that way. So all of these things that you're telling yourself and you're believing, or maybe someone's telling you and you're like, your actions are coming through every single day in your business. All of these expectations and all these shoulds that you're putting on yourself are holding you back, and they're feeding those fears of judgment and of failure. Because lo and behold, what if they're right? And all those shoulds are right. But giving into those shoulds, I'm going to tell you guys, is going to give your power completely away. And you won't be successful at this business because you're living by someone else's should list. And when you're shoulding all over yourself, it's denying your own passion and truly fulfilling what you want to do and your potential. So I'm going to tell you a story. When I was in elementary school, I grew up stuttering horribly, really, really, like badly. And I remember we would go around the class when we were reading, like first, second, third grade. And, we all had the book open to a certain chapter, and the teacher would have everybody read a couple sentences. And I started I would get a lump in my throat. I would start sweating because I would try and time what sentences were going to be mine so I could start practicing them in my head. And there were certain words like what, where, how, a lot of question words I wasn't able to say. And they would come out like, whoa. And then everybody would laugh at me and make fun of me. And then they would imitate me. And I made me want to shut down. And my dream, one day, I always envisioned myself being some type of performer, whether it was a speaker, whether it was on stage. I wanted to be in front of people. And I remember one day in class, we shared, we drew little pictures of what we wanted to do. And when I shared it with my teacher, she said, and I know she was trying to protect me, but she said, Seay, you should consider doing something where you don't have to speak in front of people, because it might be easier if you pick a career where you're writing or you're sharing something in a different way. And I remember thinking, wow, but that's not my dream. And had I listened to that should, I would not be doing this right now. I would not be speaking at Summit. I would not be speaking on national wake-up calls. But those are the shoulds people tell us sometimes to protect us. That's totally on the opposite of what we believe and what our dreams are. And I share that because how often does that happen in this industry? And we get in this industry and people start putting their shoulds, and sometimes they have the best intentions in the world. And you even know maybe in your mind that they're right, that they're not right, but your gut's you feel scared and you put these expectations and it shuts you down. And you can be through all the trainings, you can be on the most motivational calls, but at the end of the night when you're lying in bed, if you're listening to that should list, you're never going to be that kid standing up, speaking in front of people, living out your dream. And if you end up you think about how sabotaging it is, because if you start believing that, what happens are all those actions start trapping you. And then, you know what, if you fail, you can say, well, you know what, deep down, they were the ones that told me to do this. It wasn't really me. Right? So we start sabotaging ourselves. And you don't really have to be accountable for your choices because someone else put their expectations on you. I want you guys to really think about being badasses and what badasses do. And you've got to break through that whole shoulding mentality. It means taking control of your life and being responsible for yourself, what you want, doing as you totally choose that you want to do with this business, and dream big and have that vision that Liz was talking about in the beginning of the call. Because if you're not, you will stay stuck. You'll wonder why you're not hitting Success Club. You'll wonder why you're not advancing like everybody else. And back to, the coach is saying, I should be farther along in my business than I am. I say, you know what, guys? Screw that. Because you know what? Today, January 26th, you are exactly where you are. Your business is exactly where it is for a reason. And you have nowhere to go but forward with your whole new mentality, your whole new mindset. And you're going to get rid of those shoulds and you're going to freaking break through like the rock star you are. And your business is going to be exactly where you want it to be because you're going to work your butt off without anybody else's expectations of you and ones you put on yourself going forward. Because once you've actually figured out that you really want this and you're willing to work for it, none of the other shoulds are going to matter. And you'll start picking goals that serve you. And they'll have nothing to do with the people around you and what their expectations are. So when I was in college, another quick little story just to make a really big should. I went to college and I ended up graduating with a degree in psychology. And my whole thing was I wanted to work with patients and be a counselor and stuff like that. But coming out of college, so many of my friends weren't getting jobs because why? They didn't have experience, right? So I'm like, I am not going to be one of those people who gets out of college and can't find a job. So after talking to people after my ninth grade year, not ninth grade, my freshman year, everybody was like, you need to do free internships. You need to get free, get experience by doing these internships. So the summer after my freshman year of college, I did an internship at a psychiatric hospital. Summer after my sophomore year, I did an internship at like a juvenile detention center. And then after my junior year, I did another one in another capacity. So when I graduated in 12th grade, I keep saying high school years. When I graduated my senior year from college, I got a job 2 weeks later at a mental health hospital. And I was like, ecstatic because all that hard work had paid off. I literally worked every single summer through my entire college 4 years. While all my friends were at the beach and they were taking the summers off and all of that, I was putting in the time in the internships. But I got this job. And you know what? 6 months into this job, I hated it. I went through a major depression because all of my friends, that my closest girlfriends from college, had all moved away and started living their own lives. So I didn't have that core friendship, that core like base anymore. It felt like I was like really an adult all on my own. I was really depressed because every single day I was going to an industry where I was dealing with so much sadness and depression. And you know what? Unfortunately, a lot of them didn't really want to help themselves. And nothing I could do to pour into them was going to make a difference unless they wanted to make a difference. And it wore me down because I wasn't feeling the success of trying to empower them. And so I decided after 6 months, after all of that, I decided to leave. And I called my mom one day and I said, Mom, I'm going to leave the job at Charter Hospital. And she's like, oh my God, why? Like, what do you mean? You can't quit. You shouldn't quit. You've worked so hard to get to this point. Do you realize how lucky you are to have this opportunity when all your other friends don't even have jobs yet? She's like, what are you going to do? And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I want to go somewhere where there's fun, there's girls, and I can meet, I can have new girlfriends, I have flexibility, and it's really lighthearted, and I don't have to worry about all this heavy stuff. I'm going to go work at Hooters. My mom thought I was kidding. And honestly, guys, I went and I worked at Hooters, and the shoulds came out from everywhere. My friends from college, everybody. I think my mom called my grandmother and said, can you please have a talk with Seay? She's going to go wear those little orange shorts and a tight tank top. And I was like, Mom, I'm not going to work at Hooters forever, but this is where I need this right now in my life. Just support me, because I need friendship, and I just need something lighthearted so I can figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life that's not real heavy. But my point is sometimes we go through college, maybe some of you guys have all these amazing careers, and you're like, what am I doing Beachbody? Is this like a Hooters? No one's taking this seriously. I'm posting selfies in my workout bra, and people are like, what are you doing? Like, what's gotten into you? But my point is you have to stay true to you unapologetically. And it doesn't matter how much effort and time you've put into something else. Be where you're at and listen to what's true to you. And put 100% in. It doesn't matter what other expectations are of you, and don't let other people, even if they have your grandmother call you, put their should list on you. The same thing kind of happened when I went from corporate America doing pharmaceutical sales to Beachbody. It was the same kind of thing. Like, what are you doing again? You're nuts. So what do you do? What are the tools that you can do right now after this call? First of all, learn to stop doing things out of need for someone else's approval. Because this is your life. And it's their expectations of what you should be doing for your life. And I want to give you permission to throw all that garbage out the window and be unapologetically you and work this business the way you know you want to do it. Because if you're feeling like you're not living the life you want, figure out the life you do and start hatching a plan to make that happen and what you really want. And maybe if you don't know what that is, sit down tonight and really figure out what that is. Do it tonight. Because once you start hatching that plan without all those shoulds, you will feel so liberated, empowered to actually make your goals happen. So another thing is asking yourself, am I doing this or not doing this because someone thinks I should? It's funny. My sponsor, my upline is Lindsay Matway. And I didn't do a team call with Lindsay I didn't do a team call for a year in this business because Lindsay's a really good speaker. And every time I would get on a team call, I'm like, I can't do a call as good as her. And then when I finally tried a year later, it was awful. I'm like, I'm not doing that again. That was the worst experience ever. How could I even compete? I mean, her calls are amazing. But you know what? As a leader, you guys have to eventually be your own CEO, even if it's painful and awful at first, because you know what? When you rip the Band-Aid off and keep trying, just like my daughter with her serves, they'll get better and better and better. And so were your calls. I think I even started on my first few team calls. It was horrible. Brought me back to second grade. But I got better, and so will every single one of you. Here's the next tip. Instead of saying I should, replace it with I choose. Because it's amazing how much more powerful and control of your life will be when you start choosing to do something instead of shoulding. So screw the judgment that people may have of you if you're doing your own thing. Because A, they're either jealous, B, they're not your tribe anyway, or C, maybe they're just testing you to see what kind of grit you have because they may be interested in joining your team. And if it's your family, I mean, sometimes I know our families, like my mom, when I wanted to go to Hooters, they're like, what are you doing? And, they're trying to, protect you. And what I had, I said to my mom, when you guys saying this to your family, and if it works, great. If not, you have to bless and release. But these are my dreams and my goals. I would really love your support, and I would appreciate it. And leave it at that. You can't control if they decide to not support you. And of course, I mean, this goes without saying, I don't want you to get off the call and be like, I don't have to have any responsibility now. Obviously, don't confuse real responsibility with personal autonomy. You really should be faithful to your spouse, and you really should spend time with your kids and things like that. You should pay your bills. Those are responsibilities. But should you stay at a corporate job you absolutely hate out of guilt because you've been there for 10 years and you work so hard at that position? And you know what? They'll probably lay you off when it's time to downsize anyway. So going forward, I want to give every single one of you permission to stop shoulding all over yourself. SHOULD, shoulding for the kids. So I'm going to give you guys a call to action, and then I'm going to answer some of the questions that Liz sent me that you guys had asked. But here's your 4 call to actions. And you can put them in your team page or wherever you guys normally do your call to actions. And I'm going to say these. What expectations, whether they're real or perceived, are holding you back? What expectations, whether they're real or perceived, are holding you back? Number 2, how are those keeping you stuck? Number 3, how do those expectations influence your fears? And number 4, what is it going to take to break out of those expectations? Because I guarantee if you really think about things that hold you back that you may not even realize, and there are these little whispers of shoulds and expectations, you're not going to be the badass you're destined to be in this business because you're victim to all these other things going on in your life. So remember, replace I should with I choose. And that will be a way more empowering stance as you're building your business. Okay, so I'm going to take some of the questions that you guys sent. And how are we doing on time? Okay. Shifting gears, because this is not mindset stuff. This is technical stuff. Okay, how did you grow your invite list? I think I had about 3,000 friends when I started as a new coach. I honestly tried to get everybody to my Facebook. Whether I met them out in person, I didn't get business cards. If I met them out, I'm like, oh, let's be Facebook friends. Let's be Facebook friends. And then I would try and chat with them intentionally for like the next few weeks after that. And then I would start friending their friends. And so I would that's how I originally started. But whether they were servers at a restaurant, for me, my main driver for my business is my personal Facebook. So that's what I try and drive everybody to, because then they can sit back and get to know me and feel more comfortable and see what I'm about. And then I can slowly start building relationships with their friends through Facebook. That's originally how I started it. Now I just kind of go through and I'll friend request people that make sense in certain circles where we've got 2 or 3 mutual friends. Some accept and some don't. Keep going. I mean, think about the end of the day, this is network marketing. So you want to be out there networking with as many people as possible. Okay, the next thing is, what was your turning point from coach to CEO? For me, I did pharmaceutical sales. My company was bought out by Pfizer. I was 3 months pregnant with my final baby, and I was not going back I did not want to work for corporate America. So I quit, and I didn't work for 1.5 years. And when I started Beachbody, my whole thing, because we were putting our mortgage and everything on our credit card, and that was like maxing out pretty quickly. So when I started, I had a CEO mindset from day one, because it was like, I was so stubborn. I was not going back to corporate America. And so for me, I remember thinking, if I could just make 40 or 50 grand, we could trim all of our bills and I could do this for the rest of my life and be happy. And that was my original goal, was just to do that. But I still had, like, from day one, that's what I wanted to do, was to do this business. Because for me, my main why was freedom and life of autonomy, and no one ever being able to lay me off or tell me what to do. How do you feel you best reach your cold market? Facebook at again, talking to people and getting them onto my Facebook. I don't get that much from my like page. I still haven't figured out how to do that stupid thing. It's just, it confuses me. It takes so much effort. I'm like, I could have done 2 really great posts in the time it figured out how to do something on the like page. So for me, it's my main driver is my Facebook, and then just getting out and talking to people. What do you use to track your business? Having in my conversations, I used to use pen and paper for years, up until 4 months ago, because I lost my book a couple times. I spilled water on it, then all my writing got smeared. So I realized, obviously, I have to do something different. So I use DtC now. I absolutely love DtC. I tried One Page CRM. I tried Streak. I felt like those had so many moving parts. It just overwhelmed me. And I like DtC. And if you guys choose to use DtC, I would tell you, it's kind of like a cell phone. It has all these features. Don't get caught up in the features. Immediately go to like what's going to work for your business. Upload your Facebook people, and DtC allows you to like rank people and put in times when you want to follow up. And if you just start from A, work your way to Z, it could take you months. Screw that. So upload your people and then go to your Facebook, and the people that are liking and commenting on your stuff today, that's your hot market. Start with them in DtC, and then then as you need fillers, you can go to other people on your Facebook and put them in. But I think too many coaches think they strive for perfection and they lose productivity. So my advice is whatever system, whether it's pen and paper or DtC or Google or whatever, Excel, just have a system in place, because I realized when I started DtC how many people I was forgetting about. And when they would come up, I go in the message and I realized like 3 years ago they were supposed to buy a challenge pack. I'm like, ooh, I dropped the ball on that one. So I definitely would have a system. I like DtC. Here's the other thing is, if you're going to do it, I told my team, there's an hour webinar. Watch that so you know kind of how it all works. Then you can get a 30-day free trial to try it out, kind of get it up and running. Just do the basics with it. It is $30 a month, but a lot of people on my team have noticed their sales go up. So it started to pay for itself because they were way more effective with their time. Okay. How to best motivate others to get started without sounding righteous or preachy. I'm really big on asking questions and finding out what drives people. And maybe that's because I have spent so many years doing the psychology training stuff. But I really try and have people kind of craft their own vision and see what their hangups are, and helping them get past that. Because a lot of the stuff, again, like I was saying with the whole shooting, everybody's got the potential to be successful. It's just this baggage we come on our back with that we continue to carry around. So, getting rid of that is truly where the potential and the magic happens. What do you say to a coach who is adverse to using social media? Can someone still be successful if they're not? Absolutely, they can be. It's different. It's not how I've grown my business, but so many businesses are out there that's all face-to-face. And if face-to-face is your thing, I mean, gosh, like I said, a lot of the people I add to my network are from just being out and about. So, you can work with gyms, you can work with wellness centers, you can work with big accounts and be like ridiculously successful. It's just a different way to slice it. I have 3 kids and I'm super busy, so I personally like social media. It works for me. Okay. What's the one biggest tip or advice you would give someone building this business while working full time? Doing what you need to do, not doing what's easy to do. It doesn't matter if your pictures are perfect on PicMonkey. It doesn't matter, at the end of the day, what brings revenue. If your time is not bringing in revenue, you need to switch up what you're doing. You can spend an hour and make it a jam-packed hour, or you could spend an hour thinking, okay, well, I should make, a graphic the way Susie made hers, or I should do this. Focusing on connecting with people at the end of the day. That's the main thing with this business. I see so many coaches, they want to do it sexy. They want the little magnets for the cars, and they want business cards, and they want all these other things. And at the end of the day, they're not actually inviting and talking to people and building relationships. They're doing what's easy and fun and sexy and not what's really going to drive their business. Okay. I think that's it. I think those are all the questions. All right, Liz, I'll let you pop back on. And if anybody has any other questions or anything they wanted to add.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I had a million things that were my favorite stuff you said, but I think what I've been trying to shift the focus in our team to lately is focus on the actions that are going to yield a positive result. And it has to be a positive, measurable result. So are you hitting Success Club? Are you earning income? So many times coaches spin their wheels and they're posting consistently and they're doing all that stuff. But if you say, have you hit Success Club? Have you increased your income? They're saying no. And it's not that their efforts are in vain. It's just that something major is missing, because you're not just unless you are just having fun with a new hobby on Facebook, you're trying to build a business. You want to grow a business that's generating an income for you and helping you advance and helping you get to your long-term goals. So that's so huge, guys, that Seay hit on that is, think of all this stuff that she talked about today, part mindset, part some technical stuff. Your actions have to be the right actions that are yielding the results that you want for the long term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really do. And and the mindset stuff, it's not a destination. It's a journey, because there's always going to be people coming into your life that are trying to derail you. And I think that's the biggest challenge with this business and I think why personal development is so strong is to keep, because this is the biggest thing you've got to protect in your business is your mindset, because that can make you the strongest, most amazing person in this business, or it can hold you back from achieving your dreams.
Absolutely. Seay, it really is no surprise to me, but I feel like, at least for me and some of my coaches that I've been talking to directly, this was couldn't have been more spot on what we needed to hear. And for me too, not just for my coaches. I don't know, if there's anything I've learned from growing as a coach, is the best way you can ever get to where you want to go is continually being a student. And I was really absorbing everything you had to say. So thank you so much for taking time to share that with us and, bring us back to what's important and what we need to nurture first, being our minds, and then, what we can apply to see the positive result that we want. That's pretty much what sums up finding success as a coach.
This can be your Hooters experience. You don't have to apologize for it. Right. Don't let anybody judge whatever it is you want to do.
Right. You can get the Hooters experience with the orange shorts.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Have a great night. Thank you for having me. And
thank you so much, Seay.
And I'll send you those 4 call to actions. You can post them.
Please. Yeah. And you're welcome on our team calls anytime.
Oh, thank you. Bye, guys.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.